Hello everyone, welcome to my online channel The Palm Leaf. This is the fifth video in the data analytics and visualization series. In the previous couple of videos, we looked at how to draw the violin plot. We're going to take a small detour from plots in this video. In this video and the next, in the fifth and the sixth video, we'll be just looking at the dplyr package. So it is just like ggplot is the grammar of graphics. The dplyr package is considered to be the grammar of data manipulation. Right, so it's a very it's one of the most important sessions in this video series. In this video, we'll be looking at a few functions like filter, select, arrange, mutate, summarize, and group by. Now, these are functions which are critical to a very quick data manipulation. I'll just quickly share with you how. Right, so at the end of this video, we should be able to do some basic data manipulations without running extensive formula on an Excel sheet. Right, so for those who have not used this package before, we should first start off with install.packages, and inside the parentheses you should put a double quotes and write dplyr. Right, I have already installed it, so it will throw an error, just like you saw on the first video. After you have installed, after you have made this first time installation, you should call the function. So this is like a regular practice in R, right? So I've now called the function. What we are now trying to do is we are trying to use the select function, which is the first one that we are going to discuss in this package. Before we get into the dplyr mode, we'll just see how it's usually done in regular R, right? So you call the dataset, and we have looked at the MPG dataset earlier. It's a dataset with all car manufacturers, and there are different attributes like city miles, highway miles, fuel type, and the type of cars, compact, subcompact, so on and so forth, the year of manufacture, cylinders and all. Right, so this is the same dataset that we'll be using for this video as well. So let's say if we want to select certain columns. So in basic R, which is if you are not using the dplyr package, you will write the name of the dataset or the data frame, right? In this case, both are the same. And then you will put in square brackets, right? Within the square brackets, you will put something before the comma and something after the comma, and I'll explain what that is, right? So whenever you put something like this, let's say you put the data frame, and then you put two square brackets, and then you put a comma. Anything before the comma stands for rows, and anything after the comma stands for columns. So this is what you need to remember, right? Now, if you want to select a certain column, it means that all rows have to be selected. So you don't mention anything; you leave it blank. So it would be like after you've started off with the square bracket, you don't write anything, which means all rows will be selected. And if you want to just specifically pick on certain columns, you will use the concatenation syntax, which is small c in parenthesis, and then you will enlist each of those column names. So here I'm just trying to enlist model and display. So columns 2 and 3 in the MPG database, and let's see how it works. Right, so if you look at the result, it's a table of 234 different rows and 2 columns, right? So it's actually given me, I'm actually able to select using base R. Now, why should we use dplyr, right? I don't really need to remember all these complicated combinations. If I'm using dplyr, I can think of it like basic English, right? So what am I trying to do here? I'm trying to select certain columns. So using the dplyr package, once I call the library function, I can just use select and then mention the name of the data set, and then without double quotes, I can just mention the name of those columns, and the effect is the same. Right, so if I run this line of code, line number 75, I will pretty much get the same result, and it is even easier to remember, right? Now let's say you have got certain contiguous columns, and what I mean by contiguous columns, let's say if I want to select everything from model to cylinders or model to DRV, so on and so forth, all that I need to do is I just need to mention a column. I'll say select MPG, and then this is the start column to the end column, and that's about it. I just run the code, I'll get everything. All the columns from model to CYL is now showing up. right? Now let's say if you want to if you want to select columns with certain regular expressions, right? For example, let's say the column name starts with Y. Let's say you've got an Excel sheet or a table with 50, 60 different columns, and it's very difficult for you to really scroll and identify which columns you want. But you know that certain aspects of the columns are common. So you can actually say contains Y, and then only the columns with Y will be populated, right? You can also use the starts with function and say if it starts with Y, then obviously the year column pops up. You can say ends with Y, and you can see that the CTY and HWY, the city miles per gallon and highway miles per gallon columns pop up. You can also use matches, and if I say HW, it's the HWY column that comes up, so on and so forth, right? So the select function is the first function in the dplyr package, wherein you can actually select different types of columns, and it's not necessarily just, you don't have to write one column after another. You can identify contiguous columns. You can even do a combination. So for example, you can select anything between model and CYL, and then you can also add maybe DRV, which is a non-contiguous column, and then it still works, right? So it's very flexible to use the select function. Now let's look at the filter function. Now this is what you use when you want to, so this is like your Excel filter, right? If in a particular column you want to filter out certain aspects, you go to Excel, you put on filters, and then you select, and you have a separate row. Now in R, it is very flexible. So in an Excel sheet, you will have to copy that into a new sheet and then maybe run plots on it, or do some analysis on it. Here you can call it into a variable. Now I'll just compare the regular R usage versus the dplyr usage, just to show how simple it is. Right. So as I had mentioned earlier, if you want to do a filtering on a particular column, because the filtering is happening on a row, you will write it before the comma, right? You will say MPG square brackets, and then this means that you will select only rows where manufacturer is equal to Audi and cylinders is equal to 4, right? Wherever manufacturer is equal to Audi and cylinders is equal to 4, right? And then you will say I need all columns. So the moment you run this, you will get all columns, but you will get only Audi and cylinder is equal to 4 combination. You can do this in dplyr using a very far more simpler mechanism. You can just say filter and then mention the data set, which is, or data frame, which is MPG, and then you can say manufacturer equal to. So this is where it doesn't equate Audi to manufacturer, but rather searches for a value Audi in your manufacturer column. Similarly, and you can use a comma to use an AND function, right? And then you can use as many commas for as many AND functions that you need. So this is the AND function. It gives you exactly the same result, as you can see here, right? Um, for OR function, for example, let's say you want to identify all rows where manufacturer is equal to Honda, or the DISPL column is equal to 1.8, right? Here, what you can do is you can just put that pipe filter, and then you can see that most of these rows that have come up have either got 1.8 as the displacement, or Honda as the manufacturer. Cool. So that's pretty much that. You can also use the in separator. So this is for let's say categorical variables where you have got text, right? So you don't really need to repeat this again and again. You can just say model, and you can use the in separator like this between percentages, and then use the concatenation function, and then write all your values inside it. So you don't need to say model equal to A4, comma model equal to Corvette. You can just put an in separator and then only mention those values inside the concatenation function. It should still function very well, like this. Cool. Now, let's say you want to convert it into a data frame. The problem is right now, when you're making all these combinations, it's coming out as a table, right? And it's not very quickly. I mean, even though it's printable on the console, if you want to extract that information, what you can do is you can use the function, right? And you can use this assignment operator and assign it to a variable, right? The moment you do that, and then when you view the variable, right, you will get it into a table. You will get this into a table form, right? That pretty much makes it, and then you can download this into an Excel format and send it out. You can export it, so on and so forth, right? So that makes it pretty easy. So what we have seen so far is the select function, which selects separate columns, and the filter function, which selects values within a certain row, right? These are two important functions in the dplyr package. Cool. Now moving to the third aspect. This is called as chaining or pipelining. And we use something like this. We use a greater sign between two percentage signs. So what this does is it makes life very easy for us. And I find it is one of my favorite usages because it's extremely powerful and super easy. And you don't really need to remember too many things with this chaining concept. So for example, let's say you have got a data set MPG, right? Now you want to filter out just Audi. So you will just say MPG. You will use the percentage greater than sign percentage for the chaining function, and then you will say filter row column name equal to the value you want, and then you will select, and then even you will again use a chaining function, and then you will say select year and cylinders. So what this does is it automatically understands. It goes to the MPG package. It will select it will select manufacturers equal to Audi, and then it will only select the two columns that you had asked it, year and cylinder, right? So you can use this you can use this very flexibly. This makes it very interesting. So in an Excel sheet, if you want to play around, you'll have to do multiple filters and then copy and paste it. You can actually call this onto a variable and then plot that variable separately, right? Another example of this is, let's say I'm assigning vectors 1, 2, and 3. So I use a colon just to help R understand that I want 1, 2, and 3 as three observations, and I'm assigning it to a vector variable called as A, right? At the same time, I'm assigning values 2, 3, and 4, which is represented by 2 colon 4, into a vector called as B. So the moment I do this, um, I'll just show you A and B separately. So if I say A, it says 1, 2, 3. And if I say B, it says 2, 3, 4. Right now, if I want to do some complicated mathematical formulae on this, I can use the piping function. So, and it is easier for me. So let's say I want to first multiply A with B. So A into B, if I multiply, I'll get 2, 6, and 12. Right now, if I want to do the sum of all 2, 6, and 12, and then I want to take a square root, right? If you want to write it in a single formula, it becomes very difficult. So you can do it using the piping function. You can say A into B, and then you can use a piping function and then say sum, and then use the piping function again and then say square root. The moment you do this, you get a single value very quickly. So you don't have to really remember where you want to put your parenthesis. You can just use the chaining function and make life simpler for you, right? You just have to do it sequentially, the same way in which you think. So that's one of the very useful functions that we have in the dplyr package. Right. Now moving to the arrange function. This is exactly the same as sorting on an Excel sheet, right? If you want to sort in ascending order, uh, all that you have to do is you have to call the data set, use a piping function, select the columns. So here we have selected year and cylinders. And then, let me just show you this. I'm just selecting this part now and pressing Control Enter. So what you see here is you'll see year and cylinder, right? It's not in any particular order, but let's say if I want to order it or sort it by year, I will select the whole thing and then press Control Enter. Now you can see that it's sorted by my year in ascending order, right? So only 1999 is coming up in the first 10 observations of the 224 rows. So this is the difference. This is how you can do it pretty easily, right? And you can then call it into a variable, maybe like C and then assign it. So this order will be saved into C if you want to reuse C in the future, right? Now let's say you only want unique. So whatever we have seen here, what you have done is you've selected two columns, year and cylinder, and then you have sorted it. Now what you need is you just need unique values. So you can use the unique function after the chaining function, and what you get is instead of 224 plus 234 different rows, you're going to get only the 7 unique combinations that are there, right? You can again call it out into a different variable if you want to make any further analysis separately on this. Okay, now the last function. So we have ordered in ascending order. If you want to just order it in descending order, the only change that you need to make is you just need to call the descending function. You write the variable which you want to order and you just say DESC and then put it in the parentheses. So the same thing that we saw earlier, which had 1999 only coming up in the top 10 observations, now has 2008 coming up in the top 10 observations. Fairly simple, I'm guessing. If you have got any queries, please feel free to put it in comments, and I'll try and come back on some of these at least. Right. Now, before we move, I mean, this is the last function that I want to cater into this video, and then the remaining subtle aspects of the deployer function, I will cater in the sixth video, right? So if you look at the mutate function, this is the last function that I'm going to look at in today's video. And what does the mutate function do? The mutate function is used when you want to add a separate column and then put some values in it, which is derived from one of the existing columns. So for example, let's say this is your MPG package, right? Let's say I want to add another column, which is CTY divided by HWY. It's some form of ratio, both are numerical numbers, numerical columns. Let's say I want to find out some ratio. I want to find out the mileage ratio of CTY of city to highway, right, for all the different observations that I have. So in the usual approach, what I do is I will say MPG, and then I will use a dollar sign. I will create a new column name called ratio. I will use the assignment operator, and then I will say CTY divided by HWY and use the MPG dollar sign so that it understands that it is one of the columns. The moment I do this, right, and when I look at my MPG, I see that there is a ratio column that is added, which is essentially the ratio of what we just defined, right? CTY divided by HWY. Now, in the dplyr approach, I can do that in a different way, right? I will call MPG. I'll put the chaining filter. I'll use the function mutate. And let's say I'm adding a different kind of a ratio, the reverse ratio, right? I'm going to say it's HWY divided by CTY. So note here, you don't have to precede it by the MPG dollar sign. It automatically understands because it's first taken MPG and then it's chaining in. So you don't really need to specify the data set again and again. You can just say mutate rev ratio is equal to HWY by CTY. And then for this function alone, you will need to assign it to MPG so that the value is stored, right? Let me just run it, right? And let me just view the MPG. So now what you can see is there is another column, rev ratio, that is created, which is basically HWY divided by CTY, right? And you have assigned it back so that you can use it. I hope this is fairly easy for you to understand. We'll look at summarize each and a few other functions in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you on the next video. Thanks.